Look at this Google Ngram chart tracking the terms ghost hunter and paranormal investigator over 2 centuries. For over 100 years, the line is completely flat. Then, right after 1984, the year the movie Ghostbusters hit theaters, it skyrockets. That pop culture spark ignited a massive fire in the early 2000s, when reality TV networks flooded the airwaves with paranormal investigation shows. That programming cemented a very specific, stylized image of the modern ghost hunter in the public consciousness. Parapsychologists have actually been tracking this amateur boom for years. Through longitudinal surveys, researchers routinely ask everyday people a simple question: why do you want to investigate the paranormal? In 2005, the largest blue block shows the vast majority entering the field wanted to help experiencers or the ghosts. By 2019, that desire shrinks drastically. The primary motivation becomes collecting stories for media, while interest in actual scientific evidence drops to the bottom. What started as an earnest attempt to understand the unknown has largely turned into thrill-seeking and a chase for the perfect go selfie. And that media-driven spectacle completely masks the rigorous academic reality of genuine parapsychology. In most traditional sciences, researchers leave the lab to test a specific, predetermined hypothesis out in the field. Parapsychological fieldwork operates a bit differently. As this diagram of the field investigation process shows, parapsychologists aren't always just testing theories. They are often responding directly to a request for help from the public. Because of that, their investigations involve serious clinical aspects, providing intervention and education to families. To provide that help effectively, researchers need to accurately diagnose exactly what is happening inside a home. They rely on a highly specific taxonomy to categorize unexplained events into 3 distinct types. The first category is an apparition. This chart maps out the working hypothesis for these events. A conscious, discarnate entity is actively interacting with a group of living people through telepathy while using psychokinesis, or PK, to manipulate the physical environment. Contrast that with a haunting. Here, the diagram shows a one-way street with no interactive entity present. It's categorized as a place memory, a recording of a highly emotional past event permanently tied to a specific building or object, playing back like a broken record. Finally, we have poltergeist activity, or recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis. Look closely. There is no ghost in this equation. Instead, the reported phenomena are generated unconsciously by a living PK agent within the household, usually a young person going through intense psychological stress. This is why careful categorization matters. If a family brings in an amateur team who treats a stressed teenager's unconscious psychokinesis like a demonic haunting, it only amplifies the trauma. Real fieldwork requires precise clinical diagnosis, not guesswork. That amateur guesswork often leans heavily on consumer technology. In the paranormal community, a twitching electromagnetic field meter or a sudden temperature drop is frequently presented as undeniable proof of the afterlife. Consider an investigation conducted aboard the USS Hornet, a decommissioned aircraft carrier turned museum. During a session deep inside the ship, researchers saw their EMF meters go absolutely crazy, spiking across the board. It looked like a massive paranormal event. But after checking the environment, they realized the spikes perfectly matched the sweep of a rotating radar dish on a completely different ship docked nearby. The equipment was simply picking up radio frequency contamination. The same flaw applies to the popular craze of analyzing orbs in photographs. Most of the glowing spheres that amateurs capture are simply camera errors, airborne dust particles catching the flash, or reflections of ambient light. Because consumer gadgets are so easily fooled by environmental noise, academic parapsychologists rely on strict data collection frameworks. They build baselines, document investigator biases, and conduct multi-visit observations to rule out every possible naturalistic cause before even considering a paranormal one. Without those scientific controls, standard technology doesn't reveal the unseen world. It merely measures human misunderstanding and the everyday static of our environment. Even with perfect methodology and strict controls, researchers in the field eventually run headfirst into a fundamental ethical dilemma known as the investigator's paradox. On one side of the paradox is the scientific mandate. When a researcher finally encounters genuine, unexplained activity, their inherent goal is for the phenomena to continue. More activity yields more observation, better data, and a deeper understanding of the anomaly.
On the other side is the human reality. The people actually living inside these spontaneous events aren't looking to generate data points. They are usually terrified, exhausted, and desperate for the activity to stop so they can feel safe in their own homes. In genuine academic fieldwork, there is an absolute, non-negotiable rule to resolve this tension. The psychological safety and comfort of the experiencers must always supersede the collection of scientific data. The popular image of parapsychology is a group of thrill seekers wandering through abandoned buildings for a viral scare. But the reality is a deeply empathetic science, aimed primarily at helping vulnerable people navigate the absolute unknown.